Hey everyone, my name is Claude. My partner Clinton isn't here today. He's actually on vacation at Universal Studios, so he's picking up some great Marvel footage. But I have two Spider-Man comic books that came out this week, and let's just go ahead and get started on this review. Welcome back, everyone. So, as I said previously, I picked up two Spider-Man books to review this week, Spider-Man Velocity number 3 and Amazing Spider-Man 32. So, with that said, let's just go ahead and get started with the main series, Amazing Spider-Man number 32. This one, oh man, this is honestly, it's probably my favorite of the Nick Spencer Amazing Spider-Man books. This one just felt classic Spider-Man. It starts off with I had to be careful with spoilers, but I'll kind of dance around some big reveals in the book. But it really starts off with Spider-Man 2099 crash landing on kind of I guess it's an oil rig in the middle of the ocean. It teases some things that are coming up with one-shots too coming out this year. But I'm a big Spider-Man 2099 fan, so I'm really excited to see where they go with him and, his interactions with Peter Parker Spider-Man, who in this comic book has no idea that Miguel O'Hara is actually back. Miguel is Spider-Man 2099. You have Peter Parker, and he's going back to school. He is in Dr. Kirk Connor's class, and you see him going through, classic Spider-Man like college years, basically. I think this is Peter Parker's like third or fourth time maybe going back to school. But you have some really funny interactions with him and his classmates that I really liked. Eventually, obviously, with the Spider-Man book, you have him fighting crime, and there's some big reveals in this one. One of them, he actually teams up with somebody that has been a more and more, I guess, important character in the Spider-Man mythology. I don't want to spoil it just because it's kind of a cool team up, and they're basically stopping a crime. Again, I don't want to spoil too much because I don't want to give away the coolest part of the comic, but there is a classic Spider-Man character that hasn't been seen in a while, so I'm pretty excited to see where that goes. Yeah, there's just a lot of cool things happening in this book. But honestly, I don't want to spoil it for you here, like I said. So definitely pick it up because this is one of the better Amazing Spider-Man books that Nick Spencer's done, and I'm really excited to see where it goes. All right, so my second Spider-Man book for this week was Spider-Man Velocity number 3. So if you watched my previous review of Spider-Man Velocity number 2, that wasn't a good comic. So if you're unfamiliar with the Spider-Man Velocity comic line, basically it takes place right after the Spider-Man PS4 game. And really, I feel like you can read Spider-Man City at War, just read all 6 issues of that, and you don't even really have to play the game because that just spells out the entire storyline. And even if you didn't decide to read those, you could still just jump into this series, Spider-Man Velocity, and kind of know the gist of it as long as you know the basics of Spider-Man. But in the third issue here, this one, it gets a lot better than issue number 2. I had a lot of issues with some of the teasing about a certain characters and the villain reveal. It was just like, who? It's no one exciting and no one that I recognized, and it's just kind of a generic speedster. But Mary Jane is continuing her investigation, and she finds out the identity of this villain, and kind of maybe not so much the motives in this particular issue, but at least she starts to dig more, and you see Spider-Man's progress with this Velocity Spider-Man suit from the game, which, in all honesty, looks so much better in the comic book than in the actual game, because in the actual game, it's pretty hideous. It does not look good. Probably my favorite aspects of this book wasn't so much the story, but it had to do with the fight scenes in particular. The art by Emilio Laiso is amazing, no pun intended, but there's a fight scene where Spider-Man's fighting this villain. I guess, I don't know, I wouldn't even call it a villain, it's more of an angsty high school student, and he's fighting her like against a skyscraper, and you get to see that battle just continue throughout New York City through Central Park, and it just looks really cool. One interesting thing about the story is kind of this girl's powers, and she's in high school, and you see her, I guess, being angsty. Yeah, Marvel's been doing that a lot with high school students. I understand they're angsty, but really lately, but you see her in high school, and she has attitude problems, and she uses her powers to really, fix some of these issues that she's having with fellow students. And it's kind of like, how is no one in the school realizing that she's causing, some of this, I don't know, she's basically beating people up, and 1 minute they're standing, and then the next they're falling, or have the cafeteria food tray fall on them, and it's just like, I don't know. I haven't seen anyone that is super fast before in my life, but I assume it's probably pretty noticeable. Someone just has a banana or their lunch on them, but what do I know, right? But overall, I mean, this issue is, I would say, better than issue 3 because there's not as much teasing about the villain. It's more about their backstory and why they're doing the things that they do. I think issue 2, that teasing and that reveal of who this Ghost character, which is actually this fast teenager, it was just like, you turn the page, it's like, who? Like, I guess as a Spider-Man fan, you're expecting someone that you've heard of or actually care about in terms of villains. But, I mean, this one's just another generic speedy person that, it's like, okay, I just want to know more about her. And that's what this issue basically does. And we're finding out more and more. So, I mean, it's okay. I would say, just keep reading, obviously, if you've already picked this issue up. I mean, this is a limited series, so, I mean, just stick with it, I guess. But that's all the reviews that I have for this week, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and pretty soon Clinton will come back to us, unfortunately, and we will continue doing some of our videos together, so we'll see you guys back real soon. Stay lame.